Hello. If my voice sounds a bit strained at any point during the speed paint, then that's because I spent the entire afternoon singing karaoke with my friends, so yeah. But anyways, today I'm doing something a bit different from what I usually do, since today's artwork is actually an art appropriation piece. If you're unfamiliar, an art appropriation is basically using existing artworks with little to no alteration. This is actually a school project for my contemporary art subject, where we had to choose an existing painting and then create our own version of it to be exhibited at school for Philippine National Arts Month. And just in case you don't recognize it, the painting I referenced for this artwork is the painting called Son of Man by Rene Magritte. It's a painting of this man in a trench coat with a bowler hat, with a floating apple covering his face. That aside, anyways, I realized a lot of my classmates don't actually recognize this painting, which actually came as a surprise to me, to be honest, because if you're at least aware of the numerous amount of popular paintings, then you should, in some degree, recognize this one in particular. Another thing, I guess, or observation I made was that not a lot of people in my class are familiar with digital art, specifically hand drawing things digitally. I had a lot of schoolmates asking me which app I use to edit the image, and I always end up having to explain that I did in fact draw this artwork by hand digitally. It is not an edit, at least not what they think. So yeah, I'm just quite surprised how it's already 2024 and yet a lot of my classmates still know little to nothing about digital art. Enough about that though. For this illustration, I made my own version by simply turning the man in the painting into a cat. A calico cat, and I don't know, I think it looks nice. I also at one point thought of changing the apple into an orange for no particular reason. I honestly don't know. I swear the thought process for getting this idea just popped into my head so suddenly. But I went against that just to keep the recognizability of the artwork. I actually coincidentally already did something like this before. I remember making an art appropriation piece of The Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh, and I made it into my own version by adding cats and baby chicks. That was for an art contest by XP Pen. I made a speed paint about that long ago now. Now, I'll admit, I didn't actually realize that I had done this twice, where I took a famous existing painting and turned it into something cat related, to say the least. It's weird it happened twice because I didn't actually realize until after I finished this one that I've already done this before. I swear I did not intend on creating another cat satire, I guess, of a famous painting, but here we are. I don't think I even know how I came up with this idea in the first place. I only remember sketching while I was bored at school and I somehow landed on this idea. But anyways, I was originally planning on painting this with gouache, since I do have gouache paint, but when the teacher said we could do it digitally, you know for sure I almost immediately changed my plans. Because think about it, if I do it digitally, I'll have a cleaner, ready to post artwork, and I could make a speed paint for it, and I could also upload it on my Redbubble shop. That's like several birds with one stone. I do still think I might want to paint this in gouache someday, but for now, I'm really glad I used digital art for this. The symmetry tool was absolutely my best friend in creating this illustration. It really saved me a lot of time, and it's also really nice to have everything be symmetrical, particularly for front-facing artworks like this. I guess it has something to do with the composition, but artworks that are just sitting in the center of the canvas usually look better when they're symmetrical. I did break the symmetry a little bit though with the apple and the tail just to make it a bit more interesting. Also, the tail was a last-minute addition since I remembered, oh, that's right, cats have tails. How silly of me to forget. So I added a tail. The main parts of the drawing process for this anyway that are my favorites has got to be the line art, highlights, and the background. The line art because, well, I like the lines. The highlights because they just pop. And the background, I remember using, I think, 4 different textured brushes just for the background alone. My favorite was definitely the brush I used for the sky, I guess, of the background. I forgot what the brush is called, but it's a really good sort of painterly brush. I actually also used it for another illustration before. And I also used a brick brush for the small wall, but you can't see the bricks because they're all covered by the cat figure. But anyways, I still wanted this piece to have some sort of painterly vibes combined with my usual cartoon style. So that's why I opted to paint the background. Or the parts of the background that you can see anyways. But yeah, that's basically it for this cat satire piece. If you're interested in seeing something like this again in the future, feel free to let me know. I'm open to suggestions, and I actually think I kind of like the idea of making more of these cat satire of famous paintings. Maybe I'll make it into a small series. So yeah, anyways, that much being said, I think that about wraps up this speed paint for today. Let's have a look at the finished artwork, and as always, thank you for watching and have a great day.